So you're thinking about buying a classic Toyota Land Cruiser? Good. I think you're in the right spot. I'm James Reeves. Over the past 15 years, I've owned, modified, daily driven 4 different classic Land Cruisers. I bought them stateside. I've imported them. I've even inspected and purchased them in person in Japan. I love the cars. Right now I'm working on a full series of buyer's guides covering the 60, 70, 80, 70 Prado, 90 Prado, because these are the models that kind of hit the sweet spot between classic appeal, off-road capability, real-world usability. The 40 and 50 series, they're cool, too impractical, too old to be practical, I would say. The 50 is virtually unheard of in the US. The 40 is super deep into the collector's market. It's a collector car. The 100 series and newer, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're cool and I like the 100 series, but they don't quite have the classic status yet. The 90 Prado just barely getting there now. So we're gonna focus on the 60 through the 90. Today, I'm gonna try to quickly break down each of these models to help you maybe figure out which one you wanna start looking at, but I'll save the deep dives for individual videos coming soon. Next week or so, I'll be dropping the full buyer's guide on the Prado 90 series because I just went through the entire process of inspecting, importing, buying, modifying, and eventually selling one and bring a trailer. So everything that you need to know is at the forefront of my mind right now. So let's just jump into it. By the way, great resource, I Hate Mud. It is one of the best, not just Land Cruiser forums, but automotive forums, period. Extremely helpful, passionate dudes over there. You can probably find all the information that I'm giving you in this video over at I Hate Mud. I'm just trying to organize it for you. All right, we're gonna start with the 60 series. Super cool truck. Built from 1980 to 1990, a major turning point for the Land Cruiser lineup. Before this, the 40, 50 series cruisers, all about function over comfort, rugged, no frills 4x4s, designed for utility and durability above all else. They were Jeeps. Believe it or not, that's what they were called. That's what the J stands for in the model prefixes, like FJ62. J stands for Jeep. Toyota wanted to call them Jeeps, but they couldn't because Willis owned the IP. So Jeep, the J, was hidden away in the model code prefixes. With the 60 series, Toyota introduced a more refined, family-friendly Land Cruiser than, say, the 40, designed to compete with vehicles like the Range Rover while still maintaining legendary toughness and off-road capability. The 60 kept the classic body-on-frame construction, solid front axle, but it came with more interior space, better seats, optional power windows, even fuel-injected engines in later years. It was still a true go-anywhere 4x4, but now you could take the family with you if you wanted to, without feeling like you were in a military truck, and that's what makes the 60 series special. It's the last truly classic looking Land Cruiser, but it's actually usable if you want to as a daily driver, at least compared to something like the 40 series. But that doesn't mean it's perfect, far from it in fact. Here's the deal. While the 60 series looks amazing, has that classic appeal, not necessarily the best Land Cruiser to own. I've had one myself. I can tell you firsthand, it's not that great at anything except maybe looking cool. It's slow, it's heavy, and even the best engine options struggle to keep up with modern traffic. If you get an early FJ60 with a carbureted 2F straight 6 engine, good luck. That thing's a dog on the highway. Fuel injection in the later FJ62 like I owned didn't magically turn it into a rocket ship either. It had a 4-liter engine that pushed out just 155 horses. The 4-liter engine from the Jeep Wrangler at the same year, 1988, made 177 horsepower, pushing a much smaller, lighter car. And then there's the air conditioning. The 60 series introduced factory AC, and like anyone's first attempt at anything, it kind of sucked. The AC system, underpowered, struggled to cool the cabin in hot climates. I had a 1988 FJ62, and even after 2 AC rebuilds, one at a trusted local shop, one at a Toyota dealer, the cabin would still stay hot in the summer. If you live somewhere warm, be prepared to sweat in this thing. Now, to be fair, the 60 series is also hot in other ways. Got a lot going for it. It's got a solid front axle, makes it great off-road. If you're lucky enough to find one with like a 12 HT turbo diesel, one of the best Toyota engines ever, it's reliable, it's very simple, you can work on it yourself, has fewer electronics than modern SUVs, which I think is great, and of course, it just looks incredible. That classic look, that classic styling, a big part of why these are so desirable today. But that desirability, one of the big problems, prices have gone insane. The 60 series used to be an affordable classic. Those days long gone. A decent running example will now set you back 30 to 50 grand. If you want a low mileage collector grade truck, good luck, be prepared to shell out 60 to 100,000. Even unoriginal examples with lower miles are commanding crazy money right now. This repainted 1985 FJ60 with just 90,000 miles, not even fully original, just sold for $81,000 on Bring a Trailer. Woof. I bought mine, you guys are gonna hate this, bought mine back in 2011 with 110,000 miles on it for $7,500, and it was in pretty good shape. Why so pricey now? I mean, they're desirable, they're rare, they're getting rarer every day, but it could be the cringy celebrity factor as well. The 60 series officially a status symbol, whether we like it or not. Kendall Jenner drives one, looks like, I think it's a Corsetti Cruisers build, one of the Resto mods. Those run about $250,000. And if you watch Terminal List, Chris Pratt's character, James Reese, great name, drives one too. Once fucking celebrities start buying a vehicle, you can forget about getting a deal on one. So who's the 60 Series Land Cruiser for? You're buying it for the looks, bro, and the nostalgia, because it's the best looking Land Cruiser out there. It's slow. It's not a great daily driver. Doable. And there's not anything it really does better than any other Land Cruiser we're about to talk about. You can get, in my opinion, a truck that's just as cool for half the price if you go to the 70 series. The 70 series Land Cruiser, one of the longest running and most legendary Land Cruisers ever made. Got one behind me right now. The 70 series actually comes in two different versions, the heavy duty model and the light duty Prado model. I have one of each. The Prado was built for more comfort while still maintaining off-road capability. I'll cover the heavy duty 70 series first, because if you're looking for the toughest Land Cruiser ever built, this is it. The 70 series debuted in 1984 as the replacement for the 40 series. Toyota has never stopped making it. That's how good this truck is. While other Land Cruisers evolved into more luxurious SUVs and Prados and whatever, the heavy-duty 70 series, it stayed true to its roots. It's still a body-on-frame, solid axle, manual locking hub beast, designed for the toughest conditions on Earth. This is the Land Cruiser you'll find in the suburbs of Tokyo, in the outback of Australia, or war zones in the middle frickin' East. Toyota still sells them today in certain markets, and they're in such high demand, Toyota had to restart production in 2023 just to keep up. First, the biggest advantage of the 70 series, durability. This truck was built to survive anything. It is the toughest truck ever built. Body on frame construction, solid axles front and rear, manual locking hubs, minimal electronics, all the things that make it one of the toughest 4x4s ever made and capable. And even though the design dates back to the 80s, it really hasn't changed much. Toyota's given it a few facelifts, but they still make them today. Parts availability, that means, is incredible. You can still order OEM parts for this truck direct from Toyota, and there's a massive aftermarket to keep these things running forever. Another great thing about the 70 series, it's actually pretty drivable. It's not as refined as the 80 series, but compared to something like the 40 or the 60 series, or maybe an old 110 Defender or something, it's totally fine to drive on pavement. I daily drive one. The steering isn't as heavy as you'd expect. They drive okay in the highway, and if you want a Land Cruiser that holds its value, 70 series, one of the safest bets, one of the best buys. Prices, they've been climbing steadily as imports increase, and because Toyota's still making them, they've got a cult following that keeps demand pretty high and supplies pretty low in the US, unlike, say, in Australia or Asia. You're gonna pay less for a 70 series, though, than a 60. I see clean 70 series all the time with under 150,000 miles, which is nothing. It's like a newborn babe for a 70 series. I see them sell for under 25 grand to Bring a Trailer over the past year, but the downsides, the biggest one, getting your hands on one if you're in the US. The 70 series was never sold here like the 60 series was. So for regular consumers, you'll have to import under the 25-year rule, which is not cheap and it's not easy. So I'm thinking about buying this Land Cruiser. Super, super low miles. Excellent condition. It's a 2000, so it's got to wait till next year before it can get imported, but it is choice. You got to factor in shipping, you got to factor in import fees, compliance costs, you got to find an importer, exporter, a shipper. It'll add thousands to the price. Another drawback, while the 70 series durable, still a truck at heart. It's not as comfortable as refined as the 80 series or the 90 series, but you probably don't give a shit if you're watching this video. It's loud, it's bumpy, it's built for function, not luxury. But do you like the look of the 70 series, but you don't want to spend that much money and would prefer to have something maybe more comfortable to drive? Well, you're looking for the light duty 70 series Prado right behind me, which is a totally different take on the 70 series, even though the trucks look the same. My J78 Prado, this car, one of my most cherished assets. I love this car more than I could ever love a human baby. I only paid $17,000 for it imported about 3 years ago, despite it just having 63,000 miles on the clock now, even less back then. At the time, these were one of the best kept secrets in the Land Cruiser world, giving you that classic 70 Series look with a better ride, smoother engine, more livable interior, all for less money than a heavy-duty 70 Series. But according to Aaron, my buddy at Bulldog Auto Japan, he's my exporter who I highly recommend, that's starting to change. Prices for 70 Series Prados in the US starting to spike. More people are realizing they can get a better driving 70 Series with the same look for less money. These are still a bargain compared to like a 70 or 60 Series, but they won't stay that way forever. Unlike the heavy-duty 70, which is built like a military truck, my 70 Prado, designed with comfort in mind. It has coil spring front suspension instead of leaf springs. That means it rides smoother. It handles better on pavement while still being pretty capable off-road. My Prado even has factory third-row seating that can fold up, making it way more practical for families or road trips with your buddies. I can fit 8 people in mine, seriously. It also comes with full-time 4-wheel drive, which means you don't have to mess with locking and unlocking hubs every time you hit dirt. And it does have a hub lock button actually in the cabin. And while it still has solid axles, front and rear, the steering and suspension make it feel less like a farm truck and more like something you could drive every day. The biggest downside of the 70 Prado is what I call the engine lottery. Some of these trucks came with great engines, but others were disasters waiting to happen. The best option, what I got behind me, the 3-liter 1KZ TE turbo diesel, those still had overheating issues. I've talked about that in my review of this truck and of the Prado 90. The worst option, the 2.4-liter turbo diesel ticking time bomb, known for head gasket failures, constant overheating. If you can find a low mileage example with a good engine, the J70 Prado is probably the best for the money Land Cruiser out there, in my opinion. Perfect storm. Classic looks, off-road performance, on-road comfort, low price. Dude, you gotta look up like 70 Series Prado off-roading on YouTube. You have these crazy dudes in South America and in Australia, like fording rivers with them, taking them in the outback. They are incredibly capable trucks. But you have Land Cruiser purists who are like, oh my God, oh no, oh, it's a Prado, like it's a weak truck. Trust me. As somebody who owns a heavy duty and a light duty who loves the 70 Series, I gotta say, I think I like this truck better than my 70, but to be fair, they're both grocery getters. But I gotta say, most cruiser heads, they're gonna disagree with me. They're gonna say the best combo of all these attributes is found in the 80 Series. I disagree, but let's talk about the 80 Series. One of the most beloved Land Cruisers ever made, for good reason, arguably the best combo. Old school Land Cruiser durability, modern drivability, but just like any truck, it's got strengths and weaknesses. It's the last solid axle Land Cruiser, which means it's great for off-roading, and it comes with coil springs at all 4 corners, so it rides way better than a 60 or 70 Series. Some 80 Series models came with factory front and rear diff locks, but the holy grail for off-roaders and collectors is an 80 with triple lockers, center, front, and rear. Toyota also made the 80 Series more comfortable as a daily driver, adding things like power windows, a more spacious interior, improved air conditioning, thank God. They also have solid engine choices, and they can last 500,000 miles or more if well maintained, right up there with the 70 Series heavy duty. Now, as good as the 80 Series is, it does have some downsides. It is one fat piece o' hog, coming in at 5,000 pounds. That means it's not fast, and even with the best engine choices, it's slow and it drinks gas. Fuel economy, awful. Gas-powered 80 Series models pulling barely better than single-digit MPGs. You're looking at 10, 15 miles per gallon at best for these trucks. On top of that, look, this is all subjective, of course, but in my opinion, they're good-looking trucks, but they don't evoke that same head-turning reaction that a 60 or 70 Series will, at least in the US, where the 80 Series was much more common than the 40, 60, 70 Series. And finally, while prices for the 80 Series are still reasonable compared to earlier Land Cruisers, they're going up really fast. The days of finding a clean 80 for like $7,500, $10,000, long gone. If you want a well-maintained example, expect to spend 15 to 30 grand, and that's with over 100,000 miles. There were 2 that recently caught my eye and bring a trailer. There's this super clean, low mileage, unmodified example, sold for almost $50,000 with 40-something thousand miles on it. Not bad, but not cheap. And how much value do the triple lockers add? Look at this, almost the exact same truck, about 60,000 miles, sold for double because it had locking front rear and center diffs with more miles. Like I said, holy grail. The 80 series, near perfect Land Cruiser, comfy enough to daily drive, tough enough for serious off-roading, still a solid axle setup, but it lacks the classic charm of the 60 and 70, far more common in the US, but prices are still pretty high for them. So this one's not really my favorite. If you're looking for a comfortable, capable truck that hasn't been discovered by collectors yet, you're looking for the 90 Series Prado, built from 1996 to 2002, I think. The 90 is one of the most underrated Land Cruisers out there right now. This is going to be perhaps the best road cruiser that you can get out of all these, with independent front suspension instead of a solid front axle, smoother on pavement at the cost of off-road capability. Although there are plenty of YouTube videos out there demonstrating the capability of the 90 series Overlander. The Prado 90 has been overlooked in the Land Cruiser world, but prices are slowly starting to climb as more people realize just how good these trucks really are. In fact, I recently went through the process myself, the entire process, inspecting, buying, modifying, importing, and selling a Prado 90. So this truck's still fresh in my mind. Mine had just 50,000 miles on it. Excellent original condition, the best engine available. That's the intercooled turbocharged 3-liter inline-4 in a rare 3-door configuration, and it sold for just $18,500, which is the third highest priced 90 Prado ever sold on Bring a Trailer as of this video. You can get a good one for 12 to 15 grand easy right now. Another reason people are starting to take notice is how good they are to drive. The independent front suspension makes it way smoother on pavement compared to these solid axle Land Cruisers. It's a great daily driver, or it can be a good long distance overlander. It can still hit the trails though. Comes with full-time 4-wheel drive, center locking differential, some models, a rear limited slip diff, or even a factory rear locker. There's some parts availability out there. Some of the transmissions and 90s petrol engines were used in the US 4Runner, Tacoma, and T100 trucks. So the parts, especially the important ones, not that hard to get, even though this car was never sold in the US, not even as a rebadged Lexus, contrary to popular belief. It was never rebadged and sold as a Lexus in the US. Most of the engines for the Prado suck, the 70 or the 90, so you need to find the intercooled 3-liter turbo diesel or the 3.4-liter V6 that was used in the 4Runner and the Tacoma. Both are great engines, but let the others pass by, except on the interstate, because they probably can't. Again, the independent front suspension means that you won't get the strength or the flex of a solid axle, but a couple inches of lift, maybe a factory or aftermarket rear locker, and you should be able to tackle all but the toughest of terrain. The 90, it's not as handsome as the 80 series, but it's also way easier to live with, and with prices going up, it's a great time to buy one before fucking Kendall Jenner starts driving one. So which Land Cruiser should you buy based on this video? I don't know. What do you think? The 60 series. This is for the buyer who just wants a cool, classic Land Cruiser that looks amazing and holds value well. This is your second or third vehicle. It's not fast, it's not comfy, AC sucks, but if you want pure vintage Land Cruiser appeal, this is the truck for you. It's also very reliable, and it's no slouch off-road either. The heavy-duty 70 series is if you want the toughest, most overbuilt, and in my opinion, sexiest Land Cruiser ever made. This is it. But be ready for import cost, limited availability of these units in the US, great for off-roading, great for durability, not ideal for everyday driving, but it certainly outclasses a 60 series in every way, except for maybe the looks department. It's just a superior truck, and in my opinion, it still looks great. The light-duty 70 series Prado, like this beauty behind me, do you want that classic 70 series look? Smoother ride and a much lower price? The 70 Prado, this is your answer. Just make sure you get the right engine, or you might regret it. The 80 series, this is for the dude who wants the best all-around Land Cruiser with solid axles, great off-road capability, comfy enough to daily with some lines that are just now starting to develop nostalgia. Yes, it's heavy, yes, it's slow, yes, it's thirsty, but it's one of the most complete Land Cruisers Toyota ever made. Great on-road or off-road, but prices are pretty high. Now, if you're on a budget, 90 Series Prado, the best option for someone who wants a nice Land Cruiser for not too much money, or for a driver who doesn't want to deal with solid axle ride quality. It's comfy, it's still very capable off-road, and one of the last true bargains in the Land Cruiser world for now. At the end of the day, which it literally is, I'm watching the sun go down with you, there's no wrong choice as long as you're careful with selecting those Prado engines. It just depends on what you want out of your Land Cruiser. Let me know in the comments which ones you're considering. And if you're looking for a deep dive into the Prado 90, stay tuned. My full buyer's guide should be dropping soon. We'll tackle the 70, 60, and 80 series. After that, guys, thank you so much for watching Jim Ports. Take care.